My name is Rodrigo Melo. I'm a tattoo artist in Woodstock, New York. I specialize in classic Japanese style. Uh, I have a shop here in the Catskills with my lovely wife Anna, and we both specialize in the Japanese style, but we also take all styles. All styles are welcome in our shop, and yeah, check us out.
So for me, that's probably the best to work with somebody that I respect as an artist, I look up to, and I'm always learning. I'm constantly learning every day. And I feel very fortunate to be able to pick his brain anytime I want to. I did some research. I wanted to get a Japanese phoenix for my first tattoo, black and gray. And I was looking for somebody who would be able to do something like that. And I checked people's portfolios online. I was going to school in the city at the time to FIT. And his shop was not too far away. And the tattoo shop, Rising Dragon, was like walking distance from my school. And I remember I went there to make an appointment. And I saw his portfolio more in person and I met him. So after I met him, I was like, okay, I was confident that he could do the job. And I set my appointment up. And yeah, my first tattoo, 18. And since then, he's done pretty much all my work. I'm working on a bodysuit. I'm almost done.
North Star. It must have been right in the beginning, right? When I first opened up shop. Probably 2008, 2009, maybe something like that. That's when we opened up, 2008. Tattooing isn't for everybody, you know, so I feel like if there's people out there that are not sure, that's okay, you know, maybe try something else, you know what I mean? Because it takes a certain kind of person to be able to do this, you know, so it's definitely not for everybody, you know. Like we were talking about earlier, right? Like I can't just go home and not think about it. I find it that it's been more influential than I thought, you know. I've done a few conventions where people come up to me and they're like, "That's your book?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the book my teacher gave me for me to learn right when I started, you know. He gave me that so me to reference this, you know." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool, man, you know. Nice." I didn't expect this the amount of jail mail I got when I first put it out, man. That was kind of wild.
What do you mean?
Well, dude's driving me from jail, you know.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, I guess, you know, because my book, you know, Schiffer put it out. They're the ones that put the price on it. They're the ones that come up with everything. And I found that was a little cheap, you know, $40 for a hardcover book, you know what I mean? All this stuff in it. But it's cool, you know. It wasn't under my control, you know. So I guess because it's cheap, you know, just like tattoo magazines or whatever, they get that shit in jail, you know. And yeah, man. So I got quite a few mails, like handwritten mail from jail.
Wow.
Some were cool, man. Some was like, "Oh man, you inspired me." So the dude went and he drew like a little koi fish, you know what I mean? Like, and it was pretty dope. Like you know, very simple and very amateur, but you could see that he's into it and that's what he wants, you know. And then I get all kinds of stuff, man.
That's sick, man.
All kinds of wild stuff, man, from jail. So I was surprised by that. I'm like, man, I didn't know that was gonna happen, but it's all good. You know, I've also gotten phone calls from friends of mine from all over the world, Europe and shit. And call me like, "Hey, man, my client just walked in with your book as reference. You know, some stuff that he wants to get." You know, I'm like, "Hey, man, right on, do that." But you know, it's what it is, man. All that stuff I put out, that book came out in 2012, and all the stuff from in that book was from before 2010. So it's very, very old. I still have it up on my website. I still have it, you know, so people could look at it because, you know, it transcends time, right? When it's done or it has a feel or something that the person likes, it transcends time. That's the most I can hope to do, you know, like do something that looks good when I do it, and it's also gonna look good 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you know. I think that's the real goal, because tattoos are, even though it's a it's funny because it's a performance art, right? We got to do it on the spot, but it just lasts the person's entire life, so it has that lasting kind of feeling to it, you know. Even though it's something that's done on the spot and on the motion and on the feeling. What do you think, man? Take a look at that. What do you think of that? Stuff like this. All right, my friend, here we go. I started professionally tattooing. The first time I tattooed somebody in a shop was in Puerto Rico. Yeah, I lived in Puerto Rico for about 7 years at one point. The first professional tattoo I did was in Old San Juan, Puerto Rico. It was in a shop called Casa de la Raza. And it was like half tattoo shop, half Harley Davidson gear and stuff like that. And yeah, my sensei Harry was working there at the time. Harry was the first tattoo artist that I met. It was a really good tattooer. Harry Seda. He's amazing, man. He's inspired me my entire career, man, and still continues to do so to this day. But yeah, so
from where?
from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, he's Puerto Rico. And yeah, he was the first person I met that did really nice tattoos. I remember seeing a sun that he did on a guy's chest in Puerto Rico. And the guy, you know, pretty tan guy, maybe your complexion, a little bit darker. And man, he did this yellow on this guy, and this yellow was amazing, bro. It was bright. Like, the guy was super tan. I never seen something like that. Like, healed and everything. Like, it was really something else, man. And then ever since then, I'm like, oh man, that's the guy. You know, he's the man. And that's when I.
Puerto Rico now.
No, he has a shop in Hawaii called Old Ironside. It was Sailor Jerry's shop. He owns that shop now. But he goes to Puerto Rico often, I think. That's where his family is and everything. So, but yeah, he was the one that kind of opened the doors for me. You know, I had shown him a couple of pieces that I did, and he calls me. He's like, "Oh, you know, we need another artist," and I told him about you, and just come down with the portfolio, like 10, 20 pieces of your work. You know, I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. Meanwhile, I have no work, you know, like I got no portfolio with 10, 20 pieces, bro, you know, like,
I got the job, but I'm gonna make it happen.
yeah, so that month, man, I tattooed every person I know, man. I just like did a bunch, did a half sleeve on a friend of mine, a bunch of stuff just to try to impress, you know, with the work, you know. And it worked, man. I got to Puerto Rico and I got the job, man, even though I knew nothing about what I was doing, you know. But they trusted Harry, and Harry gave the word that I'll be there, that I'm good. So that was it. You know, I got Harry's blessing. That was the jam. I got enough like an official apprenticeship by him, but I would say he's the one that taught me the most when I was starting out. You know, he answered all the questions I had. You know, if I needed something, he'd be like, "Oh, this or that." And I got tattooed by him a lot, so I learned a lot by doing that. Like, I learned the most from him than any other. You know, I never had an official apprenticeship. At the time, it was a kind of apprenticing somebody else, and it wasn't a thing. Make it more of a fist. Yeah. But nevertheless, I still learned a lot from him, from getting tattooed by him and just being around him. And you know, he was the only one around me that I would ask questions and he'd answer. So yeah, he's definitely. That's why I consider him my sensei. You know, I learned a lot from that dude, and I appreciate him a lot. Anybody out there, you should check him out. Yeah, but yeah, he's fucking killing it, man. And he's a awesome human being. Yeah, Harry's a great dude. And he's one of these guys, man, that's been tattooing forever, but I feel like it's still pushing the envelope, you know? Every time I see, yeah, every time I see him post, it's like, man, this is so good, man. This is so good. You know, like a lot of dudes, you know, his generation just kind of stay there stagnant, like, you know, get good enough that it's good enough and that's it, you know. But not him, man. He goes after it, man. It's impressive, man. It's inspiring to see for sure. I think maybe we came in at a time where we had like good examples, you know what I mean? Like all the cats that came before us, a little bit older generation than us, were doing it right. So we kind of like, you know, took that as an example, like, oh, you know, that's how it should be done, kind of a thing, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's the advantage we had, you know, even though we didn't have social media technology to have more access to things, we still had something special, you know, in the 90s, you know, early 2000, like even when you go to convention and stuff, it was just a different kind of vibe, you know, overall than it is nowadays. Not saying that it's not cool, because it still is for sure. It's just different. Yeah, I guess it was a little bit smaller in a way. Like I feel like everybody knew everybody. It was a little bit more of a close knit. You know, I mean, it makes sense. You know, there's a lot more tattooers nowadays. A lot more people on Earth. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot more. Not everybody's gonna know the people that you know, and you're not gonna know the people they know. And you know, there's so much out there now that it's hard to keep up with who's who. Yeah, I think that's one thing that the internet brought was a lot more quality, you know, because now it's just like
Everyone
the
got their top
competition is so high, man. There's so much, so many people doing amazing shit that
word.
mediocrity just doesn't do much, you know.
It's also, you know, messed up too, man.
Yeah, man, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think
No,
that's
it's
why
awesome. It's all, you know, it's
I think
amazing.
that's why people are doing other shit, right? Like
No, but you know what? That was, you know,
stunts and shit
what
and
do you mean?
you know, just silly stuff
Oh
with
yeah, for
tattooing, you
tattoo. Oh
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Like this what is it? Tattooing that you just conceptual tattooing. That's like, oh my God, why, bro? Come on. Wild stuff, you know? Because it's too much. It's too much competition, right? So, like, fuck, can't be as good as the next guy. So I'll do some crazy shit that the next guy's not willing to do, you know? So that'll bring attention, you know, whatever. So, yeah, it's kind of wild. Hey, man, to each his own. Everybody got their hustle, and I respect it, man. That's your
Yeah.
thing. That's your hustle. Do it. Yeah, I mean, cream is kind of tricky, man. Like, it was frowned upon, you know, because one, it wasn't the same stuff. Like nowadays, they got better chemicals or whatever they're doing. But at that time, it would get all spongy, and the tattoo would heal like shit, and then you have to touch it up, you know. So what was the point? You know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't worth it. You know, it was just like a liability thing. Like, nah, I'm not gonna tattoo you with this because it's not gonna heal right, and then you're gonna complain to me that it didn't heal right. You know. So it was like kind of across the board. Everybody said no. But now, since it's become a little bit more mainstream and there's some better products out there, people are going back to that shit. And yeah, man, it's an issue for sure. I'd rather not use it, but you know, I can understand somebody wanting to have it help out a little bit. You know, tattoos hurt a lot, man. You know, some clients are taking a lot of pain in their
Oh,
entire
for sure,
lives.
for
So,
sure.
like, if it could
But
help it ease a little bit, I think it's okay, you know. As long as it doesn't hinder the creative process, you know. If it hinders the creative process, then it's getting in the way. Then no, you know, which it does often because a lot of times when you're tattooing on the numbing cream and you're in a spot where there's no more numbing cream, then it's suddenly super painful. You know what I mean? Like, so
I'm so happy that I got like.
the person freaks out. They can't take it, you know. Or it works so well that they don't want to get tattooed without it, ever. So like,
Yeah,
okay, we still got an hour left on your session. I'm done in the area that I numb. So let's do a little bit new stuff. Oh no, they can't do it because without the numbing stuff, I'd rather not do it. So it's like that hinders it. You know what I mean? Like you're taking that so you could get more, but now you're getting less because of it. So it's not helping. You know what I mean? So when it's like that, I'd rather not, man. I think that's not. Let me just wipe it down a little bit. Yeah, it's cool, man. You live with the sleeve and then the hand piece separate, and now it's gonna be one thing, you know? It's cool. End it in an interesting way. I feel that way every time I do a guest spot. You know, I do a guest spot somewhere, and normally it's a busy shop somewhere, you know. So I get that experience, like, oh, a bunch of people, action, people in and out, all that stuff, you know, all that energy, and it's cool. But I certainly appreciate what I have here. Once I come back, it's
Yeah.
cool, but I'm more into a little bit more mellow energy. I feel like when I was a
On your day,
younger,
that's what
yeah,
you
when I was
all
a
day.
younger tattooer, I like that better, just
Yeah.
because it just, it's lively. There's always somebody walking in, and it's always something nice to see. But now, as an older tattooer, I feel like, yeah, I don't really need that so much. And then when I do need it, I feel like I need it a little bit. I'll go and do a guest spot somewhere and get that energy. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like in life, man, with tattooing and in life, everything is relative. So it's important for you to see how other people do it. That makes you realize the way you do it, and some things you'll appreciate the way you do it, and other things you'll be like, man, you know what? I think that's a good way. Maybe I'll start doing it that way. Like, so it really helps us to just open your perspective in things and be more open. Because as a tattooer, I feel like it's very easy to just get stuck on one thing. I like this needle, I like this thing, this configuration, this is what I use, and that's it. I don't even have to think about it, nor do I want to. That's it. And then you go somewhere and you see this guy like killing it, doing something completely different that you didn't even think about, and you're like, man, that's like maybe that's not as not as bad or as you know impossible as I thought. I thought this was something that didn't work or wasn't done. But then you see other people doing like, oh man, that's cool, man. I feel like there's like an inspiration there that happens. That energy that you get from being around other talented people. That I feel like it's really cool. And man, I'm very open minded, man. So I learn from everybody, man. I learn from dudes that been tattooing half the time I've been tattooing. I still learn something, and what I mean, there's always something to pick up, good or bad. You know what I mean, good or bad. So I feel like it's an important part of what we do. Going out, doing conventions, doing guest spots, meeting people, traveling around a bit.
That's what I'm.
Because man, you're a tattooer for whatever 20 years and you never traveled. You never, even though you could have.
No, yeah, no.
Other people wish they did our job because of that, because they could travel, because they could go anywhere and work, and you know. So it's almost like we have to. Because if not, it's a waste. If you don't want to do that, do something else. Be a graphic designer or whatever. Do some other art, or just work in some other field, whatever. But if you're gonna tattoo, get out there. Go see some stuff, meet some people. You'll be surprised in what you'll learn and the things you'll pick up. Every single time, and there isn't one time that I travel that I don't learn something and I don't bring something back. You know, whether it's like an actual thing, like a physical tattooing technique, or just a way of being or a way of thinking or something. Like there's always something to be learned. I think that's what makes life beautiful, man. There's always something out there. Not there to just be boring, and then what? Not then what next, right? Man, I love tattoos, man. I hate getting tattooed, but I love tattoos. I love having them. Something about it. It's hard to explain. There's a lot of people out there talking about how it's getting slow and a bunch of people are quitting tattooing, all this stuff. I mean, honestly, to me, I feel like
This comes down to the individual.
people that are quitting, that's good. Just quit. Do something else. Maybe that'll be a opportunity for you to do something better.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So like if you quit, that means you're not sure about it, or you can't hack doing it, which I understand it happens, man. All I know is that this tattooing shit has been around for a long time and way before any of us were alive. And it's gonna continue to be that way. Not for everybody. Some people are not gonna be able to do that, but some of us will. The people that really love it, they really wanna. It doesn't matter whether they're broke or not broke. They're gonna continue doing it. They're gonna, those people are gonna keep at it, man. It just is what it is. I mean, I've been in situations when I started tattooing that I didn't tattoo for weeks, and it got to the point where like, oh man, I gotta get another job. I gotta find some other shit to make money. I gotta pay my rent. And then thankfully it picked up, but I've been there, man. I know how it is. How there's no security in tattooing, man. This is like some pirate kind of shit to do. You do it for the love, and
Yeah, exactly.
and hopefully it'll be well, but not always. You know what I mean? Like there's no security. It might be great or it could suck as well. So either one you got to be prepared to face. 'Cause that's just the name of the game, man. You gotta do what you gotta do. If you love it, if you're into it, you know. See a lot of young cats, the ones that started after 2020, and it was like that big boom. Everybody's getting tattooed, you know. So they all went off and opened up their own private studios and shit, tattooing 2 years or whatever, a year. But now, when it slows down, if you don't have that clientele from like back in the day to hold you down and like still keep getting stuff, it's gonna be a little tricky to maintain. You know, there's a lot of competition out there too. Got cats that have been doing it half the time I've been doing it, killing it, doing like beautiful large scale shit and charging half the price I charge. You know what I mean? Just because they're hungry and they want a tattoo. You know, that's it. So fuck, how can you compete with that? You know what I mean? Like, and then because it becomes like a, you know, you're competing for lowest price, right? So that sucks, you know? Like, but everybody got the right to do their own thing, right? So I also feel like people nowadays they have no patience, you know. They're very like instant. They want everything instant gratification, you know. Like I've been in situations where like I get a email from somebody wanting something in a convention. Oh, I want to get this piece, whatever, you know. I'm like, cool, yeah, whatever, let's do it. First day, this much, blah blah blah, you know. And then I don't hear from them, and then they get back to me, but then I missed their email or something, and it took me like a day to get back, like the day before the convention, you know. And then I don't hear from them, and then boom, I see them at the floor getting the same tattoo by somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, damn, bro, you couldn't wait like a few hours for me to return the email. You know what I mean? Like, boom, you call whoever was there, like, ah, I'm ready to do it now. Let's do it.
Wow.
You know, it's like, whoa, dude. You know, like people have no patience. You know, like, oh, with me, it's gonna be, you know, I could start on you next month and a half from now. We could start. With this guy, you could start tomorrow. Boom. So they go for the guy tomorrow, even though he has half the experience you have, and you know what I mean? Like, but he's killing it, doing some nice stuff, so he's available. You know, that's what it is, right? What are you gonna do? I just suck at all that stuff, man. Emailing and shit's a pain in the ass to me, you know. But you gotta get on it because if not, you get left behind, you know. It's an interesting thing, right? It's happening in tattooing. I almost feel like it's part of our job now. Like I can't just tattoo you. I gotta post your shit too.
Yeah, there's no
Then
way
they're
around
happy.
it.
Then they're happy.
No,
If not, they
for
get
sure.
pissed. They're like,
No, for
nah.
sure.
Well, you
Absolutely.
didn't like my tattoo, you know? They don't understand that the last picture you put was from a guy you did 2 months ago. They think it was yesterday, you know what I mean? Because you posted it yesterday. But I'm just busy doing my thing, you know? I got a life. I got, you know, a kid and family I want to spend time with, you know? Like, it's not personal. It's just, you know. Once I'm done, I work on you for like 4 hours. I had a long week. I tattooed a bunch of people. I want to go home and chill. I want to get on my phone and look at all the shit I did and then analyze it and then do a video about it and then do a post about it and then do this about it and then comment about it and then answer the comments and people say, oh, that's cool. Okay, cool. I got to answer this, dude. Dude, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of work, man. I already did a lot of work. Like, the tattoo's done. That's it. But I felt like some clients won't tell me, but I could see that they want me to, you know what I mean? Like, they only get psyched when I do it, you know, when I post it, you know. So, because as a tattoo artist, you got a bunch of followers, right? So you gotta get much more likes than if they post it, you know. I got some clients that got no patience. Like I give them the picture, like yo, I just make this video, I just airdrop it to them, and then before they leave the shop, they already posted it. You know what I mean? Like no patience at all. You know what I mean? Hype, and that's cool, but they're still not as happy as when you post it. You know? You post, they repost it, blah blah blah. It's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, so now that's it. It's part of what I do. I gotta post this shit, you know. I almost feel like I gotta come into work earlier just to do that. Like an hour earlier just to fucking do that. I already come in an hour earlier to clean and, you know, get everything set up. So imagine. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. And it's, you know, it's kind of unfair, you know. A lot of these cats that don't have it or these older dudes, they're not as savvy. They're getting left behind. Some young cats like posting 20 times a day, you know what I mean? Just started tattooing last year, but
that's what it is now.
Yeah, you know, just started last year, but had a shitload of followers and post like crazy. The first place I've ever tattooed was out of my my mom's apartment in Jackson Heights, Queens, man. That was the first tattoo I've ever did. I uh, I saved up some money, like some Christmas money, and I bought a kit, a Spalding kit off the back of a magazine because I guess my fascination with tattooing started with my brother. I have an older brother, 6 years older than me, and he got tattooed, and that was it. Once he got tattooed, I saw it, and it was just changed my life. I thought, man, this is such a cool thing, and I don't know, I was just fascinated by it. And after that, man, I just like bought tattoo magazines, and I was just like living it. As much as information as I can get, I would, whatever I could get, not make a fist. So I was into it, man, deep. So yeah, I bought my kit from the back of a magazine and started tattooing my friends at home. I had no clue what what I was doing. I never seen a tattoo being done before. I was 16 years old, so I couldn't even get tattooed. And I remember going into a few different shops in the Lower East Side and just asking, "Oh, you guys do apprenticeships or anything like that?" And they'd laugh at me and tell me that I couldn't even be in there, much less an apprenticeship. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't even old enough to be inside of the shop. Yeah. So yeah, I got a little frustrated for a while. I would tattoo people and do a nice tattoo that I thought was great and took my time with it and it would look great. And then they come back 2 weeks later and it was completely gone. Like the whole thing just disappeared. Because I had no idea like how deep I should go or how I should do it. It's very discouraging when you don't have anybody around. So it wasn't until I moved to Puerto Rico is when I started having somebody around that actually I was able to ask and learn from. But for a while, I was just tattooing out of my mom's apartment. I did quite a few tattoos out of there. And now I've been doing it for 28 years. It's gonna be 28 years now. Crazy how time flies, man. Crazy how time flies. I started tattooing. What really, caught my eye and it was really impressive was realistic. I didn't understand how it was done. I thought, wow, it's like magic. How do you do that on skin? I thought it was really, really impressive. And I was inspired by Paul Booth and a lot of those guys that did realistic style and that back in those days. And and that's all I did for the first year or two of my career. I wanted to do just realistic, just portraits. And it took me a little while to start getting down with it, but I was getting pretty proficient with it, and
When did you
I
start
did it. I did it for a while. I did it for a while, the realistic stuff. I just I got tired of it because I felt like I don't know. It was just at least the way I was doing it felt like a human copy machine. I just like kind of doing the same stuff over and over. A lot of baby faces and things like that. And I'm more of an illustrator. I like to draw and you know what I mean. And it was a lot of tracing like other stuff and. A lot of the clientele was very like picky. They wanted, very specific what they wanted. So it was a different kind of clientele, it was a different kind of thing. It wasn't my thing, man. I appreciate it for what it is, the art of it and everything, and I think it's awesome. But for me as a tattooer, I wouldn't be able to just do that kind of style. I'm sure there's other people out there that love it and do it awesome. You know what I mean? So for me, I prefer more of a classic tattoo style, black outline and filler kind of a thing. And I tried all kinds, man. I was doing some traditional Americana, or what I thought was traditional Americana at the time. Looking back at it, it's more of a neo-traditional. And that led me to doing bigger work, and it led me to doing more new school kind of stuff, and which I felt comfortable with, but everything had an underlight and everything had some kind of effect, you know what I mean? Back in the 90s, that was a big deal. Everything had to look like glass or see-through or something. And then eventually I found my way into the Japanese style. At first I wasn't attracted to it because I didn't understand it enough to appreciate it. It took a long time to actually understand it to be able to appreciate it. Changes in my career when I met Ivan Zazi. around 2005 in São Paulo, Brazil. I went out there with my good friend Rico, um, and our friend Kiku was getting his back piece done, so I went there to because I wanted to meet Mauricio. Mauricio has always been a big inspiration to me. Coming up in New York City and seeing his flash everywhere, so I wanted to meet Mauricio. And Ivan happened to work with Mauricio at the time. He was the one that was doing Kiko's back piece. My friend Kiko that lives in London now. But yeah, man, that was the turning point. When I met him, I saw his work, and to me, it was like a combination of the traditional Americana and Japanese. And it was like Japanese, but extremely bold and very legible and very like much more simplistic than the stuff I was seeing before from Horiyoshi or Henning or Philip. You know, that kind of stuff was way above my head. I couldn't like, like I didn't know enough to appreciate that kind of stuff. Now I definitely do, but at the time. And yeah, Ivan really changed my perspective. And at that moment, I got tattooed with Mauricio at that trip. And in the same trip, I talked to Ivan about starting my back piece. And I did my back piece with him around 2006, 2007. Took about 2, 3 years maybe to get it all done. I went to Brazil, to Sao Paulo several times to get sessions by him. It was an amazing experience. I learned a lot. And I learned things that I still use today. I mean, he did my back, so I couldn't really see what he was doing, but I learned a lot about positioning and how to go about it so that the person can actually take a extremely heavy session, a big tattoo. So that takes a certain know-how. If not, the person just won't take it. And if they don't take it, you don't get to do your tattoo. So it's important to be able to do it in a way where it's not too painful. I mean, it's gonna be excruciating. It's a tattoo, but you could do things that help it along a little bit. And I learned a lot from even in that perspective. And he's just like an incredible tattooer, man. He's just a really cool guy and super talented dude. What I personally feel now, what's going on with tattooing, at least for me personally, I feel like I don't know, man. It's we're in an interesting time in tattooing right now, where it's more accessible than it's ever been, and you get to be your own promoter and do your own thing, publish your own works and things, and talk about it and stuff. So it's interesting to see what is to come with all this. What direction is this gonna go? And but yeah, man. As far as I'm concerned, I just love it, man. I love this shit, man. I love tattooing, and every time I get a chance to do it on somebody and do something cool, I'm like a little kid again. Just still enjoy the hell of what out of what I do. And I just, with the large scale work, man, I feel like it just works nice for me personally in a private setting. Like the person could be completely free in here and relax and not have to be hearing chatter from like 50 other people at the same room. You know what I mean? Like I feel like my customers really appreciate the whole vibe that I created with this studio, with nice and laid back and real chill environment. You know what I mean? I feel like that's important because tattooing is a performance art. And if I'm gonna perform, I want to perform in the best possible scenario. I want to perform in a proper place where my performance can be appreciated. So to do that, I need it to be in a nice, relaxed atmosphere where energy and ideas can flow and not be distracted by chatter of politics or this or that or television on somewhere, or you know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of good and bad things in every way you look at it, right? With tattooing, whatever it is. And I think one of the cool things that are coming out now is all this decorative stuff, man. I think it's cool. Big, large scale decorative work.
Like the ornaments.
Ornamental or just like, big fucking negative space, or just like one big chrysanthemum, the whole sleeve just kind of like almost looks abstract, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I think looks pretty cool. Just kind of focus on the shape of the body, and I think that's a cool newer style that I've been digging, seeing people do, you know. But there's always trends, you know, and trends come and they go. But the classic tattoo stuff, I think will always be here, you know, tribal, traditional Japanese, traditional Americana, and black and gray, like classic black and gray stuff. I think that's it's always gonna be there, man, you know. That's just like the roots of the foundation, you know what I mean? I like all this new tribal revival stuff. I think that's really cool as well. A lot of people doing beautiful stuff with that. Things I've done, and I've done all this different styles. I wish I had done more like tribal stuff. Never got to do too much of it. But in retrospect, I wasn't putting black in as well as I do now, so it would have been much more difficult to do back then. I've been lucky in my career, man. Never had to work in too many like bad places or anything like that. Everywhere I work was pretty chill, man. So when I first moved back from Puerto Rico to New York, I my first job I got was in Fun City Tattoo on the west side of Manhattan, with Dougal Street, because they had two locations at the time. They had the original Fun City on St. Mark's and Fun City on McDougal Street. I got that job because I saw an ad on the newspaper looking for artists. So I went to Fun City, and the guy, when I got there, the guy's like, "Nah, we don't want any artists." I'm like, "What the fuck? I just saw an ad." He's like, "Ah, go to the west side. Yeah, yeah, they need artists over there on the west side." I'm like, "All right." Very dismissive, you know. I'm like, "Fuck, all right." So I go to the west side, man, and yeah, I talked to the owner's son. The shop was owned by Jonathan Shaw, and he had a partner named Al Albrizio.
Also, you work with
For Jonathan Shaw and Al, they were partners in this Fun City West, you know, not the Fun City East, not the original, the second location. And Al Albrizio, he had a jewelry shop next door called Ches Magnifique, which they did like cool like silver rings and a lot of cool stuff. A lot of people in the rock and roll scene go there to get their necklaces and like kind of rock and roll jewelry, kind of thing. He did nice stuff, man. It was a cool thing. He was a character. He's a cool guy. But the guy that hired me was his son, Alfie. And Alfie was a cool dude. He had like a couple of sleeves by this dude that was working there right before I got there called Needles. Dude's good, man. The sleeves are beautiful. Like two half sleeves, like on point, super solid. And he saw my portfolio and then he went to talk to his dad. He's like, "Oh, this is the kind of guy we want here in our studio, whatever." And yeah, he hired me, man. I started by working we call it the vampire shift. It was from 7 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning, man. So it was wild. In the West Village, man, so many drunken people. You'd be surprised, man, how many people come in. Oh, they come in to get tattooed at 2 o'clock in the morning, bro. Like, dude, this is the time you come in, bro, like to get tattooed. Like, what the fuck? Blasted, bro. They come in, but some dude just give me their wallet out here, take the money. Like, what the fuck? Luckily, I'm an honest guy. But yeah, man, a lot of craziness like that. But it definitely taught me how to tattoo in the streets, like do it quick, do it solid, next, you know what I mean? Like I definitely got a lot of speed working in that shop, man, because there was no option, you know what I mean? You had to be quick about it. But yeah, that was like kind of my introduction to New York City, working in that shop. It was good, man. Little by little, I worked less and less terrible days, and I had better days. Some even like daytime shifts, although the daytime shift wasn't very busy, so I prefer to do a nighttime shift, but during the weekend, not during the week. So, but uh, but yeah, that was my New York City thing, man. I worked there for a while until these guys came and bought the shop and turned it into something else. it was like these guys came and bought the shop from Jonathan, and then like Jonathan like last minute like changed his mind, so they like left and then just moved up the street. And I just happened to be working there at the time, so I kind of went with them, you know. But in that shop, I got to work with some cool people. I got to work with Andrea Ilson, all these guys from East Side Inc. It was called McDougal Street Tattoo, and yeah, I got to do work with some cool people there, you know. I worked with Scott Campbell, where I got tattooed by him one time. And I worked with Patrick Collin, which is an amazing artist that I thought was a very cool guy. And yeah, it was a cool experience, you know. I was there for a short time. The shop wasn't around for too long. And that's the time where I met Rico, my good friend Rico, and I covered him for a shift in Rising Dragon when he went to Brazil for a convention. And that was it, man. After I covered him for that shift, I started working there regularly in Rising Dragon, which was fine with me because it was a very busy walk-in shop, you know. So, and that's I think Rising Dragon, like hanging out with Rico and a tattoo with David Senna, a tattoo with a couple of heads there, they're really cool. And it's where I started like getting more serious about the Japanese style. You know, I was already doing it before then, but definitely opened my eyes more to the Japanese style, especially working with Rico, and I learned a lot also from him and his wife Shion. They're also very big inspiration in what I do.